This demo is to assist you with projects 4A, B, and C from week 1. The first thing that we're going to do is draw a chair on our picture plane. Now I have found that for me it's easier to have my chair up high. First of all, it helps you to see what I'm doing, but it also gives me a more interesting perspective on the chair. When we're doing negative space drawings, we're looking for the air in between the object. So you want to find as many interesting little spaces as you possibly can. So pick a chair that has lots of holes. You don't want a big fluffy armchair because you're going to end up with one blob of a shape. So this chair gives me quite a few different little spaces in there. And the idea of using our picture plane is to figure out how you want the chair to fit in your composition. And my paper is horizontal, so you can see what I'm doing better. And I'm going to turn my picture plane horizontal as well. And it's okay if you're cropping in on your chair. Look at the borders of your picture plane. That will actually help you to make more spaces, negative shapes and positive shapes. Now it's kind of hard for me to do this without wibbling here. Normally I'd be resting my hand on my easel or the back of another chair to make me a little more stable. But we're going to do our best here. The purpose of your picture plane drawings are to help you to see the relationships of the sizes and the proportion of your objects or your subject. It's to help you with your final drawings. So think of it as a tool. It's an aid to help you with your drawings. And I'm moving so much here, my proportions aren't going to be so great. But let's see what we can do. So that's the idea. It's not just something for you to do for the sake of it. It's to help you to kind of see your object. So if you look here, I've cropped off the top of my chair. It gives me an interesting negative space in here. I have a negative space under the seat. I've got these interesting shapes with the legs. So if you zoom in and you crop your object, that's okay. That'll give you more interesting negative shapes. That's 4A is your picture plane drawing. 4B is negative shapes of a chair, and then 4C is two touching objects. So the next thing I'm going to show you is how to tone your paper for this project. I recommend that you use some art tape or painter's tape. It needs to be not very sticky so you don't tear your paper. And mask off your edges. So when you looked through your picture plane and you did your drawing, think about where you want your borders to be for your drawing. This will also help give you a nice clean presentation when you're done. It's really fun to take the tape off. It's like peeling off a Band-Aid, if you're into that sort of thing. So I have masked off an area on my paper. Now I need my vine charcoal. Your vine charcoal is actually willow twigs that have been slow burned in a special process to make charcoal. It is not the same thing as compressed charcoal that looks like a little rectangular stick. You definitely want vine charcoal for toning your paper. It goes on a lot softer, it's much easier to blend, and it really is there for the purpose of creating a background. It's not so much a drawing tool as it is for preparing your paper. So you want to try to get it on, filling in all the spaces, and you'll probably have to do this a couple times. Then I'm going to take a sheet of paper towel. My favorite are Viva towels, and I fold it, making a little pad. And try to get your paper as smooth as you can, a nice even middle gray tone. You want it dark enough that you can erase out really good clear shapes. So I'm going to do another layer on here. Vine comes in hard, medium, and soft. Soft is the easiest to use, but medium will also work. Hard is going to be a little more difficult to rub out and get rid of those marks. Okay, rub it in. Go right up to the edges of your tape. There, it's starting to get nice and smooth. I'm going to fill in a few little gaps here and there. And hold on to your paper towel. It actually can help you out with your drawing. Okay, that's pretty good. I could possibly do another layer, go a little bit darker, but we'll start with that. The next thing you will need is your white eraser. Mine, as you can see, is no longer white because I've used it so much. And I have actually taken an X-Acto knife and cut the ends of it off to give myself a little more of a point. It's easier for me to get a little more accuracy that way. So the first thing I'm going to do is look at my chair there. And you are not drawing with your eraser. You are looking for negative shapes and you're going to erase out those negative shapes. So I'm going to start with the back of my chair up there at the top where I cropped it off in my picture plane drawing. And I'm going to really closely look at that edge, that contour of my chair. As it comes down, there's a little curve. And then the leg going towards the wall goes at an angle like this, and then it hits the wall right there at the bottom. And I am going to erase that entire shape out before I do anything else. Don't keep drawing your chair, you're just going piece by piece, shape by shape. Think of it as a puzzle of interlocking shapes. And just as a warning, you are going to get little shavings all over the place and make a mess, so you might want to put a sheet down if you're in your living room or something. So the next shape I'm going to look at is the space between the back of the chair up at the top and the seat. So I'm going to crop the back of the chair off across here. And I'm looking at the width of that little wood piece that comes down the side of my chair there, and it has a little bit of a bend in it. And it helps if you kind of squint your eyes. Then the seat of the chair comes a bit at an angle and across. and then the other side comes down, bending slightly. Now I'm going to erase out that shape. Clean that up a little bit. All right, now I'm going to look at the other side here, back of the chair, and then it hits that other little wood piece that bends, and the seat comes across this way, has a little bit of a curve, comes down here, and that leg comes straight down. Only it's at an angle there, so I've come down a little too far. I need to cut that off, cut across the top of the table there. So if you make a mistake, take your towel, voila, I have rubbed my mistake away. And now I'm going to erase this entire shape here. So you're paying really close attention to the contours that you learned when you were doing your blind drawing and your contour drawing, but you're also now looking at the shapes around your objects, inside of your objects. So now I'm going to come back over to this side, and there's a little shape in here, looking at the width of that leg. And there's a little shape that hits underneath the seat and the other leg, and there's a little bar that comes across there. I'm going to erase out that shape. And clean up the edges with my paper towel. And then there's a shape that comes across here, and the leg continues down this way. And then the table comes across that way, and this shape comes down here. And I will erase that out. So like I said, do a lot of squinting. It helps you to see things a little more clearly. It makes them two-dimensional instead of three-dimensional when you take out one eye there. All right, now you can see the space between this chair leg and here's this chair leg, but I'm also putting my tabletop in there. So any place where two objects overlap, there's no air that you're seeing, so you don't draw that. So here's another little space, and the seat of the chair comes across this way, going at an angle. I'm going to take that little space out. And then there's this bar that runs across here, hits the back leg at an angle, and comes across like this. And then that front leg is in the way there. Made that a little too skinny. So I'm not drawing any lines inside the object. You're only erasing out the air. I'm going to come down to this piece here, back leg, and coming to the forward leg, and that shape there, and I'm erasing that out. All right, one more shape, and it's a little one. I'm gonna have to use the corner of my eraser. I did have a student who used the pink eraser on the top of their pencil to get into tiny spots. You are welcome to try that. All right, I'm going to take my vine again, and now I'm just going to kind of darken up some of my negative shapes here so you can see them, or these are my positive shapes that I'm darkening so you can see them a little bit better. I want everything to be one nice, solid object. No information in between. It's kind of like a big shadow shape of your chair. So if you tone your paper a little darker, then you can avoid this part. And I'm just going to clean up some of these lines. Want a nice clean presentation. All right, there you have a negative spaces in the white, positive shapes are in the chair. Now you're going to use the same process for 4C, only you're going to use two objects. When you select your objects, make sure that there's something that can create interesting shapes. So something that has a handle or a cord. And when you put your two objects together, make sure they're touching in a way that also creates interesting shapes. So I have a shape here, I have a negative space here, and the one on the top. So put two objects together, but don't overlap them or they're just going to make one blob of a shape. You want lots of nice, interesting holes on your objects. All right, so that should get you through projects 4A, B, and C.